Vibes could not be any different for these teams. Alabama just had -3 rushing yards in their last game versus Georgia, and they're gearing up to play an Oklahoma defense that's top 5 in the country in rush yards allowed per game. It's the same defense that turned over the Crimson Tide 3 times in their matchup earlier on in the season, and they forced other fumbles that weren't recovered. It's the same defense that walked out of Tuscaloosa with a 23-21 win. And on top of all of that, it's about to be the first ever playoff game in Norman, Oklahoma on a Friday night. Sooners vibes are immaculate. Bamas are in shambles. So why is Alabama a 1.5 point favorite to beat Oklahoma? What's going on there? I've said it all season. An intermediate passing game is what most college quarterbacks lack, because most college offenses nowadays are about deep shots and RPOs. You don't see a lot of dig routes, curl routes, deep out routes on a consistent basis, but not Alabama's offense. There aren't 5 quarterbacks in the country better at the layered second level throws than Ty Simpson. And early on in this game, if the dig routes and the curl routes are working for Bama, that's a great sign for them ultimately winning the game. And that shows up on tape. And I think it's a big reason why Vegas has Bama favored in this matchup. Here you got a little control route by Ryan Williams, a dig route to Jeremy Bernard behind it. That's ultimately where this ball is going to land. On the top of the screen, you got a corner, you got a little sit route, and the running backs on a bubble route. For OU, again, this is their midseason matchup. They're fearful of getting beat over the top. This is when Alabama's passing game was truly rolling. You get 2 high safeties from a quarterback's perspective, 2 high safeties. That's where you have to win on dig routes behind the linebackers, but in front of those safeties getting so deep. Ty Simpson does a great job of anticipating these window throws. That one's wide open. But it's a steady dose and a big part of their offense. Here, same end route, different concept. Got a circus route, top of the screen, working towards the corner. Got a dig route, bottom of the screen. That's ultimately where this ball is going to land. Got a tight end a little under, tight end on a sit, running back out into the flat. All 5 guys open. What do you know? 2 high safety look again. Ty Simpson loves digs. Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb love dig routes against this. Stepping up, ball out, almost fumbles this, but a nice little 11-yard gain. 2 more reasons Vegas likes the Tide is they're getting 2 guys back from injury in this game. Jam Miller wasn't really effective running the rock in their first matchup versus Oklahoma, but to be fair, nobody really was. Josh Cuevas, on the other hand, who's tracking and looking like he'll be back for this first round game, he had his best game of the year against the Sooners. And I love what Alabama did in their first matchup to get Josh Cuevas the ball. My 2 favorite routes, he probably had, I think it was 6 catches in that game, 5 catches in that game, 2 of which are they're acting like Josh is going to block, and then he releases for a route concept. Here, Alabama's motioning Jeremy Bernard from the right-hand side all the way to the right-hand or left-hand side on the top of the screen. He's going to run a dig route. You got a vertical route here, vertical route here. Again, they're trying to hit dig routes to Jeremy Bernard. Cuevas is on the bottom of the screen here. He's going to act like he's going to block for a hot sec, and then he runs to fill this void 5 yards over the middle of the football. The reason that matters, Oklahoma, who loves blitzing, we'll get into that in the back end of this breakdown, they're going to bring a linebacker here. And Oklahoma stands linebackers up, stands defensive ends up, acts like they're blitzing, drops out, blitzes from depth. They're doing a bunch in the front 7. That's why if you're a tight end in Cuevas, you have to have a big game, because there's going to be opportunities to catch Oklahoma with their pants down a little bit. They're blitzing, doing too much. Go fill their void, or go fill that void. Go fill their void, and pants down probably shouldn't be used in the same sentence, but I digress. Bottom of the screen, tight end acts like he's blocking or chips a little bit. Oklahoma's so worried about the other receivers. You're able to pick up a big gain there. Next one, very same thing. Bama's going to snap this ball quick. They got a vertical route bottom of the screen, vertical route bottom of the screen. They got a dig route again to Jeremy Bernard. You got Cuevas again here at this tight end spot, acting like he's blocking, and then he's going to sit over the middle of the field. These linebackers, both these guys, see the running back coming out on into the flat, so they're pressing towards defense's right, offense's left. And then here, again, backer blitzing from depth. So Oklahoma is leaving a lot of vacated zone right in the middle of the field. Cuevas takes advantage. Ty Simpson recognizes it, gets the ball to his hands quickly, and it's a nice little, almost feels like a screen pass. but it results in a touchdown. But Cuevas can be a factor if the pressure gets to Simpson. Ty Simpson's not the biggest dual threat. As a result, his pressured versus kept clean numbers are vastly different. When you compare him to other quarterbacks in the playoff, the biggest difference is in his yards per attempt and completion percentage when he's blitzed. And you saw that play out the last time these two teams met. Ty Simpson was pressured on 11 of his 42 dropbacks when the Tide played the Sooners in November. 4 of those pressures ended in sacks. And Kip Lewis, the weak side linebacker for Oklahoma, he was a problem when blitzing in their first matchup. Kip Lewis is right here, weak side linebacker spot. It's going to be a very familiar passing concept that we've seen from Alabama. A little control route here and then a dig route behind it. Running back in the backfield is going to be one-on-one with Lewis. It's his responsibility. Pick up the will linebacker. Lewis is just too strong and too athletic. He's confident when he blitzes too. Blitzes with some moxie. He's walking all around here, blitzing from depth. Uses speed to get past him. Gets a sack on Ty Simpson. Here, Kip Lewis, right above the center. He's going to walk around. Ultimately, he's going to blitz right through the A-gap. And then again, gets another sack. I got the back view on this one, which is easier to show what's going on. But you can see him moving. Goes untouched. Gets the sack, or maybe that was an incompletion. No, it was a sack. I think Ty Simpson's knee was down. But I want you to see the movement from Lewis here. Starts towards the right tackle. He's going to move all the way around and then ultimately blitz right through the A-gap. You might say, Max, how does he go untouched? He goes untouched because you have 5 down offensive linemen, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive linemen. So I'd imagine the offensive line gave what you call a 5 down call. So it's the 5 offensive linemen are responsible for the 5 what look like defensive linemen right there. It is on Ty Simpson and the running back to account for any additional blitzers. And so when Lewis, again, is blitzing from depth, I would imagine this is either on Ty Simpson or this is on the running back for not picking up Lewis, or it's on this left guard for not sinking down and blocking most dangerous. Regardless, it's a byproduct of all the movement that Oklahoma brings to the park defensively. And if you're not on your P's and Q's blitz pickup wise, like I'd imagine Alabama has done more blitz pickup drills this week in practice than compared to any other team they've played outside of the early season matchup with Oklahoma. You can see him moving around here, dancing around, might go outside. Nope, boom, gets him. OU, their blitz package was lights out. The last time they played Oklahoma, Bama turned the ball over 3 times. 2 fumbles and a pick 6. So those of you guys looking for good vibes on the Bama side might be saying, you know, Alabama's due for some turnover luck. The problem is Oklahoma and their scheme and personnel, they caused those turnovers. And they missed out on a couple more forced fumble opportunities to get that turnover total even higher. This right here is the pick 6, and I could spend 7 minutes breaking down this one play. In fact, I literally did early on in the season. I'll link it up above, and then I'll also link the same breakdown from earlier on in the season at the end of this video as well. But I'll keep this more high level. 3 guys matter here. Kip Lewis right here. He's the one that causes the errant throw by Ty Simpson. Little safety who's great disguise. Looks like he's dropping deep. No, he's going to roll underneath. And then ultimately the corner who picks this ball off on the outside. Again, it's a protection communication mix-up by Alabama, which that's back-to-back plays. If Alabama doesn't have the mix-ups and doesn't let 10 just run scot-free, that's a key aspect in this game. But here, Lewis looks like he's working outside the box with a running back going in motion. It confuses the offensive line, and instead of working all the way out, he knifes right in between the A-gap. Ty Simpson has no answer and instead tries to force a slant route on the top of the screen. This safety's rolling right down into it, and ultimately he could have had this interception. It ultimately ends up being the corner and his buddy just outside of him. Ball out. Ty Simpson's hot. Kip Lewis is rushing him, so that's why he gets the ball out so quickly. It's a mistake. Huge moment in this game. OU returns it to the house. If you're wondering why I haven't brought up the Oklahoma offense yet, don't worry. I got a second video coming out this week discussing exactly how I would fix the OU offense. So subscribe down below so you don't miss that one. Check out that video. Check out my game recap video I did of this matchup earlier on in the season. But this one was more about looking at what happened in the first matchup and how can we apply those learnings to the matchup this Friday. But here's what I'll leave you with. If you just remember one stat from this video, here's the one. The Tide are unbeaten in games where they've scored 25 points or more. They're 2-3 in games where they've scored less than 25. Meanwhile, Oklahoma is 5-1 when they've scored less than 25 points in a game. The Sooners can win ugly.